Good afternoon, everyone. It is 5:31, and so we do have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. 1.2, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have Dr. Dowdy Rogers lead us. Thank you.
All right, everyone stand, right hand over your heart, ready, begin.
Thank you, Dr. Dowdy Rogers. Before we do approval of the agenda, I would just like to say today is International Women's Day. So to our ladies in the house, we always want to celebrate you and say thank you for all that you do for us. So happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt. And to our mothers, our grandmothers, all the women in our community that stand up for us. We wish you happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. All right, 1.3, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it is moved by Mr. Tillman and seconded just by a whisk by Dr. Flores. So any discussion on the agenda? All righty. Oh, Dr. Flores, do you have your light on?
Oh, I turned it off.
Okay, sorry. We have to vote on the agenda? Okay, sorry. It's coming. There we go.
I still need 3 more people to vote.
If you haven't voted, please vote on the agenda. All righty, agenda carries, motion carries 5-0. Moving on to 2.0, board discussion, 2.1, public comments. And I believe we do have some public comments today. And I will say Ms. Ceballos is on her way. She should be here shortly, so to be safe on her way in. Our first public comment for this afternoon is Ms. Deborah Vale. Welcome, Ms. Vale.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Vale, and I have 2 students at North Park Elementary School. I am a stay-at-home grandma raising grandkids all over again as guardianship. I've been with the school district before. I have an older 31-year-old, and my youngest child is the 6-year-old that I'm raising right now. So we've been through the whole school district. I just want to speak on behalf as a mom and somebody who's taught in the education business. I was a preschool teacher. I taught kindergarten for 5 years. I understand the importance of facial expressions. Kids learn a lot by seeing our smiles, our frowns, not only our eyes. And I think we are doing a disservice to our kids by allowing the masks to continue. These kids need to see the smiles, and they need to learn how important it is to read facial expressions. It's part of life. They see it at home. And when they're learning with their teachers, teachers can see when a kid is grasping something with the bottom part of their face as well as the top, not only their eyes. And a teacher can be in tune with that and adjust with whatever they're teaching. And I think we're doing a disservice if we continue to keep the masks on for these kids. I understand that kids put their hands in their face and their nose and their mouths, but they do it even with the masks. Teachers have, the teachers have already seen, they see the difference in the kids, and I think it's hurting their confidence. And I would love if you guys could take a step back and think about if you were a child wearing this all day long while you're learning, how does that make you feel? Because this is what we need to start doing. We need to stand up for our kids because our kids are our future. They are the future of our country. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Bell. All right, our next public comment for this evening is Carmen Lyo. I hope I get that right. Lyo?
Buenas tardes.
Good
Buenas
afternoon.
tardes.
Bueno, yo soy una madre de 2 niños en
I'm
la
a parent of 2 children,
escuela George Brown Elementary School.
George Brown Elementary School.
So, mis niños tienen 5 y 7 años.
My children have
5 y
5 and
7
7
años.
years old.
Ajá. Ha sido muy difícil para mí
It has been so
llegar
difficult
y
for me
recogerlos
to come up and pick
y
them
no
up
mirar sus sonrisas,
and not seeing their smiles.
mirar una máscara
Look a
Mask.
a face mask,
dirty, mojada y
dirty and
sucia,
sweat.
pensando que ellos estuvieron
Thinking
respirando sus bacterias
that they were,
7 horas.
Si le puedo que un poquito
Más lenta.
más
Sí.
lento.
Excuse me, a little bit
Thinking
louder,
that they-
please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
más
Thank you.
fuerte también, para que la puedan escuchar.
Gracias.
And thinking that they were like
Breathing,
sweat,
ajá, respirando sus bacterias en
breathing
la
his
máscara.
own bacteria through the mask.
También el aspecto que la maestra dijo,
And the aspect that the teacher
me
was saying,
preocupaba mucho
I was worried
porque
about
mis
that.
hijos son aprendices de inglés
because my children are English learners,
y es muy importante para mí que ellos agarren su segundo idioma.
and it's very important for me for them to get their second language.
Entonces, el que no pudieran ver la pronunciación con su
And-
maestro,
Uh-huh.
me
And the thing
preocupaba.
that they cannot see the pronunciation from their teacher.
Bueno, solo tengo unos puntos para razones para remover el mandato de mascarillas.
Yeah, I just have some points to remove the mandated update for the mask.
Las mascarillas no detienen la transmisión del COVID.
Yeah, the mask doesn't stop the COVID transmission.
No hay estudios científicos
There are no scientific studies
sobre la efectividad de las
about
mascarillas
the
en los
mask
niños.
effectiveness on children.
El uso de las mascarillas ha afectado el aprendizaje
use
y el
of-
desarrollo.
The use of mask had affected the learning environment and the development.
La CDC admite que hay una deficiencia en el aprendizaje de los niños.
And ¿dónde dijo?
De CDC.
Yeah, the CDC admits there is a deficiency on the children's learning.
El estado de California ha removido ya el mandato de las mascarillas.
Yeah, the state of California has removed the mask mandate.
Las personas como políticos,
Yeah, the
como
politics.
otras personas famosos que van a lugares públicos tienen mayor riesgo y no usan mascarillas.
Yeah, like all people that goes to places where a lot of people gather, they have more risk without wearing their mask.
La cantidad de oxígeno que los niños necesitan en su cerebro para aprender
Yeah, the quantity of oxygen that the students need in their brain to learn,
se disminuye con el uso de las mascarillas.
yeah, it's lower with the use of masks.
No hay razón científica para seguir sofocando a los niños con las
There
mascarillas.
is no scientific reason to keep suffocating our students with their masks.
Quisiera pasar un estudio
I would like to pass a study
sobre el desarrollo de los niños
about
y el
the
uso de
learning
las
of
mascarillas.
of children and the use of masks.
Confío en su buen juicio y les agradezco su tiempo.
I trust in your good judgment and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Gracias.
You're welcome.
All right, our next public comment is Perla Roman. Come on up.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome, Buenos Aires.
Yo también soy una madre de la escuela George Brown.
I'm a parent too from the school of George Brown School.
Mi hijo tiene 5 años, perdón.
My son has 5 years old.
Y vengo también a hablar
And I
sobre
come to say too
el uso de la mascarilla
about the mask wearing.
y que no estoy de acuerdo que si
I
ya
disagree
um,
with,
Excuse me. Could you please let her finish talking and then you
Okay.
interpret it?
okay.
And then speak up
yeah.
because you're interpreting over her and
Oh, okay.
it's not coming through. I
Okay.
just want to honor both of you.
Okay,
So,
thank
okay.
It's hard to hear, please.
Señora, por favor, hable en frases,
ajá,
pausa, que ella le traduzca y así podemos ir así.
ok,
¿Está bien?
gracias, sí.
Ok, gracias.
Y yo ya había comentado en Parent Square
Yeah, I already commented on Parent Square.
que no estoy de acuerdo que quieran seguir obligando a nuestros hijos
I disagree with obligating our students to wear the mask.
ajá, disculpe, si ya no es obligatorio, estoy de acuerdo
If it's not mandated, I agree.
que si están enfermos la pueden seguir usando para evitar contagio de cualquier enfermedad.
I agree if they are sick, of course, they can use the mask to avoid any contagious disease.
Pero siempre va a ser mejor que ellos respiren aire natural,
Yeah, it's always going to be better for them to breathe natural air.
ajá, y ay, disculpen, que se usen natural, porque es mejor para o sea, no están respirando aire fresco, están respirando su propio dióxido de carbono.
Yeah, they're not breathing natural air. They are breathing the oxygen, dióxido de carbono,
Ajá.
bioxygen, carbon.
Oh, me voy. Oh, y eso les evita, ellos que están en pleno desarrollo,
Yeah, they just growing up, they're developing.
ajá, estoy un poco nerviosa.
I'm
Put
kind
your
of
mic
nervous.
closer to you, interpreter. Yeah,
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
Bueno, la verdad es que ya
The-
olvidé un poco mi discurso, pero
The- Okay. The truth is I just kind of forgot my speech.
ajá, pero yo vengo más que nada a que no estoy de acuerdo que sea obligación, pero que si se necesita para enfermedad, se puede seguir.
Yeah, what I want to say, that I don't want it to be a mandatory only in case of disease or somebody sick.
Gracias por su tiempo.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you for your advice, Ms. Flores.
Alrighty, our next public comment is Ms. Kathleen Nunez. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Kathleen Nunez, and I'm a parent of a student that has attended San Bernardino City Unified since TK. He is now in 3rd grade, and we have gone through a process of COVID, as many other people have. And I am very concerned that if our team decides to vote against having a choice as to how to have personal decisions for ourselves, it's very concerning that we are pushing this line further and further. This mask mandate is ending. If you look across the other states, you will see counties upon counties that have had no masks for extended periods of time. And they're not seeing this to be an issue. And if we continue to push this, we are taking the risk that we are making it normal to take away choices, and that is not what we need. We don't need our society to move to that point. My family has several members that work not only for San Bernardino City Unified, but Rialto Unified School District, teachers that have been there for years. I understand, I see not only from my point, but I listen to them as well. I myself am a civil servant professionally, and I do see both sides, but I also have to pull back and understand that although I have to wear it for work does not mean that my son should wear it for school. And it's just not fair, and as other people have mentioned, speech language pathologists will tell you children are coming in droves, unable to express, unable to pronounce words. These are things that are avoidable, and it needs to end, and the vote needs to be for a choice, and that's it. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, our next public comment is Christopher Nunez. Welcome.
Hi, forgive me. Not used to louder or? Okay. I'm really bad at this. I apologize. That was my wife a minute ago. I like her. Our son goes to Kimbark. Sorry. Under pressure, I forget things. You know, I love the school, and I know you guys are doing what you think is absolutely best for the most amount of people. But in my, I mean, fairly uneducated opinion, but you know, my opinion, as a father, I think that the choice to wear a mask is more important than taking the choice away. Honestly, I think my son would probably wear a mask anyways, just because he likes it, and I don't know why. But, you know, it's not taking away the option to wear a mask. If the parent feels that the child is better served wearing the mask, or they feel like there's more of a risk there, I mean, they've been wearing masks for over a year now. When they could be in school. I don't think there's any stigma on a mask anymore. Like, nobody's going to get picked on, nobody's going to get bullied for wearing a mask to, you know, to protect other people or themselves. I'm sure some teachers are going to wear a mask. I'm sure some students would wear a mask. But giving the ones that feel more comfortable not wearing it the opportunity to be expressive with, I mean, your cheeks are so much of your expression and so much of your inflection and your body language. Like, taking that away from, especially kids who need to learn how to function in society. You know, they need to know how to read those, like, subtle cues in a face. And this is the time when they learn. My son is in 3rd grade. He's 9 years old. And you know, I keep him as social as I can. We go to everywhere. He won't let me stay home. I just think it's very important to build those social, like, cues in your face and learn how to do it and learn how to read people, because that it makes a difference in how you're able to communicate later in life. I guess that's all I got to say. So thank you for your time.
All right, Mr. Nunez, thank you. And by the way, I think you did very well. All right. Our next public comment is Rosario Montalvo. Welcome.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es
Buenas
Rosario
tardes.
Montalvo.
Mi nombre es Rosario
Soy madre
Montalvo.
de 2 estudiantes de la High School de Cajón.
Soy madre de 2 estudiantes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the daughter of 2 children in high school, Cajon High School.
Yo estoy aquí nada más para representarlos a ellos. Uno de mis hijos está en educación especial. He's a special ed.
¿Me puede dar?
Okay.
I'm here to represent my children. One of them is a special ed student.
Siempre ha sido un estudiante inseguro.
Always had been an insecure student.
Desde que empezó la pandemia lo he visto con más inseguridad.
Since since the pandemic started, I have seen it with more insecurity.
No quiere salir de casa, no quiere tener amistades.
He doesn't want to get out of a house. He doesn't want to have friends.
Entonces he visto que le ha estado afectando mucho su nivel psicológico, más de lo que se puede en su enfermedad de HDA.
I know. I noticed that this has been affected him more than usual. This sickness that he has, HDAD.
Yo trabajo para el distrito escolar de Montebello.
I work for Montebello School District.
California ya dio la orden de que no deben de usar los estudiantes la máscara cuando están fuera y únicamente cuando están en el salón. Es opcional.
The state already had mandated it's not mandated to wear mask inside, outside.
They cannot wear masks when they're outside. They had to wear the mask when they're inside, but that's, it's option for students, parents, employers. So my question to you is, if you are following the state of California rules, why now do you have to ask the parents to agree or disagree for the children to wear masks? If you go with the state, why now you are doing this? At the beginning, you implement the mask because you follow the state. Now, my question to you guys, what are you asking parents when the state mandated the mask? You didn't ask us if we were okay or not. So that's why I'm here to talk. Why now you are asking when you never asked us to implement the mask? If you go any place, any restaurant, you see that no one is wearing the mask. So it's affecting our students, it's affecting our kids, our own kids. I don't know if you guys have kids in the school, but I don't know how you feel. I work in the office, every single day I have to wear the mask. Even myself, I get headaches. I come home with headaches because I'm wearing the mask, I cannot breathe. Imagine a little kids from preschool, kindergarten, Head Start, wearing the mask. I'm gonna give an example. Put up a mask and a dog and a pet for 8 hours and see what is gonna happen. That dog is gonna collapse because it's not breathing. Why? And then we are treating pets or kids different, and they are human beings. So we had to think, maybe we can hold on the mask, or maybe sometimes I see most of our employers, when they're inside the office and we don't have students around, we are out of mask. So why the kids has to be 8 hours in class or 3 hours before each period? Or, the high school, they can, walk without masks. But little kids, they're preschool, first grade, they are not allowed to take the mask. I don't know if one of you guys even going to the restaurant and sitting in the toilet with a damn mask. We feel like, you can't even breathe. Imagine the kids not having time for them to breathe. It's affecting the health. So that's why I'm saying, if you are following the state California rules, why you are not following them right now? The state of California said, no more masks. That's it. That's the only thing that I had to say.
All right, thank you. Ms. Rosales-Medina, do you have a clarifying question?
Yeah, so I wanted to see if there's a district or if I'll just clarify, just to make sure that people are not misunderstanding what you just mentioned. So it is through the governor, he made a recommendations, and it's up to the districts to make that choice, right? Or no? Just to clarify, only because the response was that, why didn't? Well, I'm trying to clarify now. I'm not asking her a question. I'm just clarifying with the district.
President Rock?
Right.
It's a good statement, and if you read the statement in the best way is to read the statement that's in the agenda, because it says, on February 28, 2022, Governor Newsom announced in California, starting March 1st, masks will no longer be required for unvaccinated individuals, but will be strongly recommended for all individuals in most indoor settings. After March 11th, in schools and child care facilities, masks will not be required, but will be strongly recommended. As always, local jurisdictions may have additional requirements beyond the state guidance.
Right, and I'm glad you clarified that, because I think it's important, because the assumption is that, there was no reason for a survey. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales Medina. Dr. Flores?
I was going to ask you to read that
Okay.
statement, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Ms. Cunningham, any more public comments? Is that online? Okay.
Okay, I'm going to call our first virtual call, and it is Carol Husband. Would you please unmute?
Welcome, Ms. Husband.
Thank you. I too am a parent of two students, an elementary and middle school. And I agree with the last woman. The guidance was from the state that, you guys followed the guidance with what they said and had put the mask on our kids. And now they're providing guidance again, saying that you guys can take it off. And yet you're still turning to the parents asking us if we feel okay with that. You guys need to make the decision to allow people to have the option. This is affecting our children so drastically, and it will continue to affect them. My middle schooler is being affected by this. They say elementary schools kids are being extremely affected because they're not being able to learn proper facial expressions. But it's affecting all kids, and it really needs to be taken care of tonight. And it shouldn't be this survey questioning whether or not we put an opinion of it. You said you were always following the guidance from the California Public Department, Health Department. And you have told us over and over, that's what you've been doing. That's the reason why you're making these decisions. Well, they've given you guidance again, so now it's time to make a decision again. Make the decision to allow people to have the option to choose. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Husband. All right, next public comment.
Our next caller is Veronica Says. If you would like to unmute, please.
Time to make decisions.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
I'm sorry, I was watching on YouTube and there's a delay. My apologies.
No problem. We can hear you.
I sent you guys an email with follow-up to my my public comment from last week. And again, I'm just here to ask you guys to please just make the masks optional. As you can see, there's many parents who feel the same. And I agree with the other parents who have been speaking. You guys have been claiming this whole time to be following the state. And Ms. Rosales Medina, I'm sorry, but you make absolutely no sense. Even last week in your comments that you made, you asked about liability, you asked about this, you asked about that, yet there's a picture that shows you unmasked at an award ceremony. How hypocritical. I'm sorry. Come on. I'm just think about the kids. You guys claim to be serving the kids, but you guys aren't. The state has lifted the mandate. The county has lifted the local state of emergency. I mean, let's be real. There is no emergency anymore. You guys, seriously, in my opinion, I'm sorry, Stop the theater. It's over. It's done. People are done. Just come out and just, side with the people who you guys are supposed to be serving. You need to remember who you guys are serving, who you serve. Listen to the parents. What is the point of this? Look at the surrounding districts. Colton, Redlands, Apple Valley, I believe also Rialto, they have all come out and say, my daughter was pulled out of your district and put in independent studies in options for youth. They already sent an email saying that they're not going to be requiring the mask. I mean, get with it. What is going on? Who's lining your pockets that's making you even do this survey? I ask that you guys just, just be reasonable. Look at the poll. There wasn't even a reason for that. It's just, I mean, honestly, I don't know what's going through your guys' heads, but this poll was completely unnecessary. Just follow the state like you guys claim to have been doing. You guys are going to try to go more restrictive for what? For what? Give parents choice. Parents know what's best for their kids. Let the parents make that choice for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cunningham?
Okay, our next speaker is Chris Lopez. If you can please unmute.
Welcome, Mr. Lopez. Or let me see if it's Mr.
Yeah, good. Do you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome.
All right, thank you. Good evening, parents and board members. I am here to request this board to remove the face mask restrictions. And here's one of the reasons why I think they should be done. 2 years ago, when this virus hit, we were all scared. We all did what we thought was right, what was necessary to protect ourselves, family, friends, and neighbors. But just recently, on February 13th, the NFL had the Super Bowl in a closed stadium filled with 70,000 plus, and nobody was practicing social distancing. Nobody was wearing face masks. But, I guess everyone was holding their breath the entire game, so it's no big deal, right? As a result, I didn't see any increases of COVID infections or a swarm of sick in local hospitals. This mask policy must end now instead of March 11th, or at least give everyone a choice to wear. I mean, if you trust the science, then you can go get vaccinated. You can go get boosted. You could even go get boosted every day before school if you like. But I mean, I'm not here requesting to restrict anybody's freedom of choice. I believe we should all have the freedom of choice for our children so they can practice their freedom of choice. And I'm pretty sure they'll all want and be so happy to not have to wear a mask all day during school. And I'm pretty sure you guys will notice change in academics, change in their attitudes, and just start seeing all their little faces smiling again. And that's pretty much all I have. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Okay, our last speaker is Valerie Leonardi. Please unmute.
Welcome, Ms. Leonardi.
Hi, thank you. I'm here again to request that you continue with masking. And the reason that I am requesting that you continue masking is that COVID-19, the new variant, is coming again, another new variant. If you look at one of the labs that does our testing for Los Angeles County and other counties across the nation, the CEO, Alex Meshkin, has said that it is currently at a 2.6 positivity in LA County and growing. And it is not a more mild variant. It is a variant that is also similar so far in illness and in causes of death as the original Omicron. When people are not wearing N95 or better masks inside of the classroom, and you have some people wearing them and some people not, then you are increasing the viral load inside of the room, and people will be exposed and they will get sick and infected. I've read portions of Anthony Leonardi's letter in the class or in the meeting and explained about the various studies that are explaining clearly what COVID-19 does to the human system. There is no one that is immune from what COVID-19 does. COVID-19 definitely causes damage to the organ systems. It is, if you Google COVID-19, National Institute of Health, the studies are there, the articles are there, the research is there. And so I am encouraging people to protect themselves from a virus that not only causes organ damage to the heart and to the vascular system, that is also causing brain damage in people and affecting their ability to have memory. If you would please go to an accepted government website, the National Institute of Health, look for the information. The data is there with the NIH. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leonardi.
That's all our public comments.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cunningham. We'll move on to 2.2. Thank you for those that made public comment. San Diego City Unified School District's mask requirement for employee students, and we will have a discussion on that in a brief presentation.
Great, thank you, President Wyatt. Today, we bring you information as requested by the board for a poll that we conducted to get information from our parents. Next slide. Our objectives today are for you to review with you the poll results, and then ultimately to get direction from the board to move forward with either wearing masks or discontinuing them. Next slide, please. As we repeat at every chance that we get when we speak about COVID, we speak about our guiding principles. One being that we ensure health and physical safety of our students and staff, that we adhere to federal, state, and county guidance, that we provide high-quality learning experiences for our students, and provide safe and accessible working conditions. Next slide. I'll pass it on to Eric Vitier.
Thanks, Dr. Rodriguez. Good evening, board. Thank you for being here tonight for this important topic. So just a reminder slide from the last meeting when we provided you with an update regarding the CDPH masks update from late February. So for general public in our administrative buildings, such as what we're in now and the climate that we're in right this second, starting March 1st, masks were no longer required in this environment for unvaccinated individuals, but are strongly recommended. For schools, which is what we're here to discuss tonight, for both our students and school staff, effective Saturday, March 12th, masks will not be required, but will be strongly recommended. This will have an impact on anything we may have going on that weekend, but the reality of it is most of it will have an impact for that coming Monday, which is March 14th. As always, local jurisdictions, local public health school boards may have additional requirements beyond the state guidance, meaning if we started seeing an uptick in cases within our county public health officer could order within our local jurisdiction masks be worn in all indoor public settings, as you saw in LA County when they kept masks on longer than the state did. So based on local context, that's how that's the direction they give.
Thank you. Next slide. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our Chief Communications Officer, Ginger Ontiveros, to review the poll results with the board.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Last week, board, you asked us to survey our parents and employees about what preferences they had regarding the continuation of mask wearing requirements in our schools beyond what the state's mandate said about ending them Friday this week. We looked into every option that you requested last week, including the possibility of using Scantrons to gather information. And due to the very tight time frame that we had for getting the survey out, for getting responses back, and for compilating the data, we opted for the three methods that we were able to deploy. We did a poll through Parent Square. We did a Google survey, and we also deployed a robocall poll to our households or our families and employees on Sunday evening. Because most of these methods did not provide an opportunity for us to capture demographic information, we opted to segment the invitations that we sent out by communication groups that we already had established so that we could provide you with some context for the survey responses. The specific groups we invited to complete in the survey included parents or guardians, which were split by their language preference, either their preference for English or their preference for language. That was especially important in things like the robocall, making sure we sent them the right message in the right language, which was something you also asked us to do. Employees were separated by classroom teachers and then by all other district staff wherever that was possible. Overall, we captured more than 16,000 votes on this particular topic. It's important to note, however, that the number very likely includes duplicates because individuals were invited to multiple opportunities to participate and give their results. So they could have responded in all 3 survey options, or they may have just responded in one. For that reason, we're going to show you how these votes are distributed across the groups and by survey method. Next slide. Our family input was very divided. So parents whose language preference was English accounted for the majority of the responses, and they favored making mask wearing optional by a modest margin. 57% of their votes were to make it optional, or 4,951 of them voted that way. 43% of them preferred that we continue the mask requirement. Parents whose language preference was Spanish, however, strongly favored keeping the mask mandates in schools. 26% of their votes favored making masks optional. 74% preferred that we continue the mask mandate in schools. Overall, there was a small majority, 52% of parents, or 6,344, who preferred maintaining the mask requirement. Employees, next slide, however, were different. Regardless of whether we were comparing teachers in the classroom to other employees or looking across the total survey methods, they were very similar. So they had a very consistent response. Overall, 63% of votes from employees favored making masks optional, and 37% wanted them to be required. Where they were segmented, teachers in the classroom favored mask wearing at only 1 percentage point more than what the overall employees did, 64%, or 907 of 1,418. Next slide. When you combine all of those together, we actually totaled 16,429 votes. 52% of them favored following the state guidance to make masks optional in schools and district buildings beginning Saturday, March 12th. So that represents the feedback that we received from all of our stakeholder groups, and we certainly hope it helps you to make an informed decision.
And so that concludes our presentation to the board. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share the information.
All righty, thank you, team, for the presentation and information, and we'll go ahead and start with board discussion, board comments with Mr. Tillman.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the staff for providing the information. I've heard from staff and parents alike that they actually received the survey. So we do a good job at doing surveys with all the different tools. And I know even Parent Square was Mr. Urban's idea. I think it's working out well for the district, allow us to do these type of surveys. I just want to state that as a board, we're successful when we have the trust of the public. And the public is always looking at us to be reasonable. And I think when we went through the tough times of dealing with the pandemic, when it was at its peak, and when there wasn't a vaccine available, we actually received the support of the public to move forward with even going remotely for the entire year. And we didn't have the crowds and the anger that a lot of districts did because they felt like we were doing what was best in the best interest of the students and the staff and the community. And once we got the vaccine and the numbers are down now, I think in order to maintain that trust and confidence that the public has in us, then we have to take the action where we say after March 11th, it's strongly recommended, but it's optional. Because you have a large segment of our population that has cooperated with us even in the peak of the pandemic. They went along with wearing the mask because they felt like the board was making the best decision for the district. So I think it's critical to maintain that type of trust and confidence that we move forward with, given the direction that after March 11th, it'll be highly recommended, but optional. And I hope after board members speak, they say what direction they want to give. And President Wyatt, we don't have to take a formal vote, but you'll see if we have the consensus to move forward with that. That's what I hope that the board decides. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Dr. Flores?
I always appreciate my colleague, Mr. Tillman. You are so clear in all your statements that you make, and thank you for giving that background.
Thank you.
And, you know, on one hand, I see the pros and cons. And I'm willing, I believe in choice. I believe in options. If it was really high, if our COVID rate was higher, I would vote to keep the mask mandated. But I see that we're not in that condition, that we are far, you know, from it. I too would favor it being recommended and optional at this time. However, if we have a big surge, like Mrs. Leonardi said, of high again, I think we would take action to require them. But given where we're at right now, I lean towards the mask being optional.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Dr. Dowdy Rogers?
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt. Likewise, again, I first want to say I appreciate the effort that the district did in order to bring us back the information that we requested. For me, I think that was very important because we want to hear from everyone. We want to hear, you know, all sides, and I think we did a good job at doing that because that is really truly what choice is hearing what those that may not, you know, have come before us and voice their concerns. I know immediately after the meeting, I started receiving, you know, emails and conversations that individuals were concerned about, you know, looking like the outlier without wearing a mask. And it was important as we, you know, as the mandate came down to bring clarity. It talked about one specific way and an option, but didn't say, you know, what you can't do. And I just wanted to make sure that it's clear for those, because I even said that myself, that I don't know when I'll stop wearing my mask. I don't know. It's not something that I honestly think about. I have to wear it when I'm at work, and it's just become a part of what I do and who I am. And I'm an outlier up here, haven't, you know, had to deal with this terrible virus. But that's not to say that I have not had family members and friends. And so in that choice for me was to also acknowledge those that have lost loved ones during this horrible time. And whether it was the mask that saved them or just being very cautious or whatever that was, I don't want to overlook that and act as though that wasn't important, because death is death, and many people have experienced it. And I do have nieces in this district that are likewise wearing the mask as well. But the choices are important, and I do believe that being clear from the board and letting individuals know that they have a choice to not wear the mask, as well as a choice to continue to wear the mask for their safety, is what I would consider and, you know, strongly recommend, because again, you know your household, you know what sick looks like or not, and what's happening, and I respect that dearly. I mean, I have grown children still, but I'm still the mother, you know, and trying to do what's best for them. And so that is what, you know, truly in my heart, I feel, and we're bringing clarity as to why we didn't do it before, I believe, is because there were two dates that one was respective to us in education. What we could not or not able to do as of right now until that date of the 12th. And so in that, it gave us a little time to pause and to hear from everyone. And again, to acknowledge those that will continue and choose to wear the mask as opposed to those that are making the decision what is best for their household. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dowdy Rogers. Ms. Ceballos?
Thank you, Dr. Scott Wyatt. And thank you for the presentation and for to the staff for putting this together on such a short notice. I also want to just make a couple comments. First of all, I want to start off by saying that I do support choice, and I am going to also say that we move forward with strongly recommending, but also giving the option. However, with that being said, I also want to kind of take an opportunity to address, some of the comments and some of the concerns. So, back when the board first decided to implement the mask mandate, obviously I was not on the board, but I supported the board's decision as a parent in the district. We were faced with an unknown. The world was faced with an unknown. People were dying. We didn't know what was going on, and it was a mandate that came to us. We didn't really have, even if I would have been on the board, I think that we wouldn't have really had time to really survey people because people's lives were on the line. So it's a little different this time around as we're going out of it. So I just kind of want to point that out. Also, I also want to point out that just for clarity's sake, we have not delayed anything. We're right on time. The governor's mandate starts on the 12th, right? So 11 to start on Monday the 15th, I think it is. The what? Oh, activities on the weekend. So technically the 12th we would be able to if you had any activities on Saturday. So we're well within our time. So we're not delaying. For me personally, I wanted to make sure that we did have this survey because our community we know the demographics of our community. Many in our community have been affected. Many have died. We have teachers that have died. We have students that have lost one or both parents, grandparents. And so for me personally, last week when I decided to support having a survey, it's not because I didn't support choice. It was because I wanted to give those individuals the respect. And I wanted to get a better understanding of where the district was as a whole. We do have that information. That was not going to determine, if we had more people that said, yes, we want to continue to mask, that wasn't going to mean that was, all that I was going to take into consideration, right? But we do see here that we're about split. We're about 50-50. Some people, about 50% of people, at least from the ones that took the survey, said, I would like to continue to wear a mask. And then the other said, no. So again, just wanted to bring some clarity and let you into my thoughts as my rationale, why I went the way I went. So with that being said, it looks like we may be going, moving forward in the direction of, having masks being optional. I did receive, emails over the last couple of days from both, people in support and people concerned. And so I just want to make sure that I share that information with my colleagues. Some of those concerns related to making sure that we put into place some anti-bullying policy that addresses any potential bullying for either students or staff that are deciding to wear a mask or not wear a mask. So for either or. So just making sure that we're being very diligent and trying to, address that so that it doesn't happen. And if it does, that we know how to approach it, that we send out information, et cetera, et cetera. And then another comment that had come in was, we really want to ensure that we have our wellness team that they have a clear plan to support our parents, because as we saw, there are a lot of parents, 6,344 to be exact. 7,922 to be exact, out of the ones that, responded to the survey, that responded that they wanted to keep the mask, which means that they may have anxieties from it, right? And so we just want to make sure that we have a plan within the district, our wellness department, to really support, students, families, staff, anybody that maybe has lost a family member that does not feel comfortable, that we're able to provide that support, and are able to provide support around, those anxieties. So anyway, those are all my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ceballos. Ms. Rosales Medina.
Thank you for the survey. It was good to see a big picture with regards to parents as well as staff and then teachers. I know it's still a small amount of those that were polled, but yet it does give us a glimpse of what people are thinking and feeling. I have the same concerns as Dr. Rogers and Ms. Ceballos when it comes to students or even staff that choose to continue to wear a mask, and making sure that they're not being treated a certain way by other folks, or either students or parents or staff or whoever may say something because they are deciding to wear a mask. Another thing that was a concern for me is how we're going to monitor and making sure that we do get daily reports for just to kind of keep an eye on all the cases. Hopefully it will not rise, but just to be prepared in case it does. So then that way we would have to come back as a board to maybe make another decision if we see a large scale of cases come in. Hoping not, but we need to make sure that we're taking the extra precautions to ensure our schools are safe. And I do want to acknowledge, I spoke to a parent at a coffee shop, and she was really concerned that her daughter would be, there wouldn't be a mask mandate in school. Things are, she doesn't have to worry about her daughter being exposed as long as she wears a mask while in school. So as we hear cases from those parents that do prefer their children not to wear a mask, I also hear cases of parents who are concerned that their children are going to be going back to school where there's children not wearing masks, or teachers not wearing masks, or staff not wearing masks, and putting them at higher risk. So again, if it does get passed, I do want to make sure that we are receiving daily email reports. I know there's probably information on the website, but I want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on the cases. And if the cases do surge, I do request that the district come back in a board meeting and have a deeper discussion on that.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales Medina. And did you have a decision on what you believe?
I am not sure yet, so it's, I just have to maybe go with the vote. Or we're going to be doing I imagine there's already consensus for it, so.
There's consensus. And again, thank you. All right, as for myself, I won't repeat what my colleagues have said, because I think they've covered it very thoroughly and with great compassion and empathy as well. I think that the hardest part about COVID and where we're at as a country is that it's polarized us. It's driven a stake. I get a little emotional about this because it's done in my own home. It's driven a stake right between us. I mean, you see in our survey, and I think that survey is important, by the way, and because we do believe in the voice of our people and what they think. That's one thing I really respect about this board, is we do care about your comments, we care about what you think. But what's really hurtful about it is it has driven a stake between us and really just divided our country and even our own community, as you could tell by our survey, right in half. But here's the one thing I know we all agree on. We all agree on keeping our kids safe. We agree on keeping each other safe. I know we love our children, we love our families, and we don't want anything to happen to them. My own home, when this first came out, the vaccination, I didn't want to get it, my wife did. Well, smart man says, happy wife, happy life. I said that before. So I ended up getting a vaccination, even though I didn't want to. I did, and I'm thankful that I did, because I ended up getting COVID really bad, and hopefully that's what kept me out of the hospital. Same thing for the mask. We went out this weekend into a public building, and she continued to wear her mask, and I didn't. And it was a conversation even on the way home, like, well, how'd that feel? And I said, well, it felt pretty good, but I'm always still concerned about you, because my wife has serious underlying conditions, as well as my son. And so I have to be always cautious about being safe, even when I choose not to wear a mask. So I was thinking about this as we were having our conversation, our discourse right now. And, even for those that choose not to wear a mask, and at times I'm going to choose not to, and other times I'm going to choose to wear a mask, all depending on the situation, because I at least want to have that extra layer of safety. I know some people don't believe masks are safe, but the one thing it keeps me from doing is rubbing my nose, right? Or, because I might be touching all kinds of things and touching my nose or touching my own mouth. So I know that could keep me from being contaminated. But the one thing we need to continue to do, though, is continue to use what we call our PPEs, or, personal protective equipment. I just did it right now. Sanitize my hands, right? Wash our hands. We cough, we should be covering our mouths, washing our hands, sanitizing our hands. Even when we're not wearing a mask, we should continue to do those things, because the one thing that we know is COVID is here to stay, folks. It is not going anywhere. Just like the flu. The flu came, wiped out many people when it was the Spanish flu, and it's still here many years later. COVID will be here many years later as it continues to mutate. So we have to learn to live with this and adapt to it. Most importantly, we have to learn to adapt to it to keep ourselves safe. Okay, but please know, when we vote up here and we do a survey and we see that split vote, doesn't mean we don't care, but we do respect each other's opinions, and we respect each other's decisions and the ability to make a choice. And that is what I support as well. I caution all of us to move forward with the highest level of caution, keeping safety in mind and respecting one another. Thank you. Dr. Flores.
I just wanted to add, Mr. Irvin and Dr. Rodriguez, that we're going to have this consensus, and some parents may wish to move their kids to virtual academy. So I hope that we can structurally handle all of that. And Dr. Funches, that means, it's real important to do that. Yeah, thank you.
Well spoken, Dr. Flores, and thank you for saying that, because again, we have a choice there as well, and thank God that we do. All right, folks, it sounds like, and let me go back to our agenda just to make sure. Sounds like our board does have a consensus to move forward with masks being strongly recommended. However, there be a choice starting on March 12th. I thank everyone for their comments and your patience with all of this as well. I know it took a week longer, but again, we care about what our public has to say, and I will ask for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Quickly.
Oh, wait,
what-
we have, I'm
just-
sorry, Mr. Zalzman has a comment.
Just really quickly, what are the next steps? Just to clarify, what are the next steps?
Now, based on the board's consensus today, we'll put out some communication to our community. We'll send something out to our board first before it goes out to the community. And then typically I send it out to the board president and the rest of the board. So once we get that final okay, thumbs up from the board, we'll send that communication out, and then we'll begin the next steps. And then based on Dr. Flores's recommendation, that's something we've been thinking about as well. So we'll make sure that we'll have some conversations offline to prepare for those parents who want to or decide to go to virtual. So, yeah, we've been thinking through all the parts, but I do think that's a good recommendation as well for something for us to take into consideration.
Thank you for that question, Ms. Rosales Medina. Great question for point of clarification. Absolutely. So hopefully everyone out there in the community knows next steps. Let's make sure we get that communication out to them as soon as possible as well. So if there's a decision they want to make to change, the delivery model for their son or daughter, that's important that they're able to do so. So again, thank you for that question. And I believe we did have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Tillman.
Second.
Oh, boy, that's all. You guys are quick on that second. I'm going to go Ms. Ceballos. Ms. Ceballos second. So, all right, folks, thank you for your time. Public, thank you for being here and for your comments.